he would just go away and come back with all this stuff. And most of it I couldn't pronounce. It was like Savorites and Tanzanites and, you know, all different sort of rhodonites and sort of tourmalines, all these different things. And but they were really big, and they were really beautiful, and they were fantastic colours. And he just put them on my bench, and he said, well, you know, you're an all-rounder, there you go. And so I'd have to start working with them, and at first I was pretty nervous, and I was pretty tight about it, because I think the style that I'd learned, even when I was working with this designer jeweller, it was a much more tight. There wasn't quite this thing of these big gems, you know. And the one thing about the ones I was getting, I mean, not all those up there, but the ones I was getting, were that they had volume to them, and so I had to learn to kind of loosen up and work with this stuff, and it felt like it needed a different approach, you know, something that was a little bit more free and just loosen up a bit. So after a while I got completely used to it, and I got really interested in these gems, and I started to take my gemology courses, and I wanted to learn more about them, and then if you want to go on, then we can go on to some. And you know, I started to sort of, I mean, this one's not such a great example because this is enamel, but the next one, you can see some sort of like, you know, I started to do coloured stones, big, bold coloured stones, and I loved it. So I stayed there for 3 years, and in fact, over the 3 years I was there, I started bringing in all my mates from college. So by the time I was sort of ready to leave, I had 4 of my friends were all living in this ski resort. I was running the workshop, they were all the jewellers, I was doing the designing, and we were actually having a really good time, because every single week we went skiing, and which was great until it snowed on my birthday, and my birthday's August the 13th, and I thought, well, you know, I've had enough of this, because it was basically 11 months of winter and 1 month of bad skiing when you live 7,000 feet up a mountain in Canada. And I thought I need to get out. It's quite claustrophobic. It's only 3,000 people live there, and I could ski pretty good by then, and there was nothing else to do. So I thought I need to come back to London. So I came back to London. There wasn't a lot going on for me. And almost the minute that I got all my stuff back in London again, the guy that I'd been working for, this Indiana Jones character, he sold his business in Canada and moved to Santa Barbara. And he said, will you come back and run it and start with me again in Santa Barbara, California? So I thought, oh God, blimey, that's a whole different thing, isn't it? It's got palm trees and sand. So I said, sure. Well, I tell you now, if ever I've got the perfect audience for jewellery, the shallow, self-obsessed people of Santa Barbara are absolutely like a dream. You know, I mean, they only think about themselves and what they can buy, and that was it. So there we go. It was 122 miles from LA, and so I started again with them. And we started. I built the benches. We did everything like I'd done in Canada and I'd done previously in England, and we just started work, and it was amazing. And we would get people like the Douglases, you know, that's like Michael Douglas, and his family would just wander in, and everyone's very casual, and I picked up my first celebrity client there, and that was Elizabeth Taylor, and that was it was in about 1984 or something like that, and I was so excited. I phoned my mum, and I said, you'll never guess what, Elizabeth Taylor's just bought a ring for me, and she bought this ring. It was rose gold and chalcedony, and chalcedony's a lavender colour, and she bought it because it matched her eyes. She's got these like lavender blue eyes, and then she bought a bracelet to go with it, and it was my first taste of that. It's a real adrenaline rush, you know. The first time it's like, you know, she was I know she became something else, but she was just this massive star, and she bought something of mine, and I think that's sort of my time in California there. My style was getting very confident. I was very, you know, by then I didn't even know how else to work. I was only really working with this sort of quite bold, big, brazen sort of style of jewellery, and I really enjoyed it. But I suppose, like everything, you know, I'd buy it. By the time I was ready to leave, I'd been out of England for nearly all of the 80s, and for whatever reason, I wanted a bit of damp or grit or aggro or something. I felt I needed to come back to London. So, excuse me.